Eric Burris with you for Coffee Talk on, what is today? Friday morning. On a Friday morning, it is June the 3rd. And we're tracking the tropics. Good stuff. I'm in the Weather Center with meteorologist Kellyanne Klass. We're going to be tracking all morning long on CW18 the very latest on potential tropical system number 1. We also have the very latest information there in the bottom left corner of your screen, just so that you know everything that there is to know, including its current conditions, where it's heading, that whole thing. But before we even get to the tropics, let's just look outside and see what's doing here locally, because I do want to point out it's not a bad start to the day. We're actually nice and dry here in our area. No rainfall to speak of, but that is going to be changing later on today. Take a look at the satellite and the radar, and there is a big swath of moisture over South Florida. That, believe it or not, is the fringe influence coming in from potential tropical system number 1. It is still just off the coast of Mexico, but wind shear, which has kept the storm system fairly weak, is shearing off all that moisture and pushing it in. So there's literally just buckets and buckets and buckets of rain that is going to be moving in there to South Florida. And I do think, if I'm honest with you, I do think that the majority of impacts from this storm system are in South Florida. For example, let's talk flooding threats, okay? For today, highlighted in red, there is a likely flooding event playing out over South Florida, including the Keys. Once you get into the Treasure Coast or the Sun Coast, it's more of a flooding is possible, and in our area, we're watching, but we're not really anticipating too much. And a lot of people have been asking, is this going to be a hurricane here? The answer is no. Is this going to be a hurricane at all? The answer is no. Is this going to reach us? There will be some impacts from it, but here's kind of the idea, okay? Wind shear has been holding this down, so intensity has not been able to play up. Where does the heavy rain end? We're going to really have to zero in on the timing, the positioning, and all that. But remember, this is not a hurricane. This is simply rain with a name. We've kind of been chatting about that all morning long. That's the idea here. We get big storms in the afternoons during the summer because of the sea breezes. So today, tomorrow, we're going to be getting some rain from a tropical source. There's no reason to freak out, okay? Well, why are you guys covering it? Why are you guys going crazy over it? We're not going crazy over it, but tropical systems can become pretty big and can become pretty dangerous. So we want to staff to make sure to bring you every little piece of information we can. Also, it gets really busy in the Weather Center, and having 2 meteorologists to be able to help each other out is a pretty big deal. So we're not making a big deal of it. We're not hyping it. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty proud to work for the television station that I do, because if there's one thing that we don't do, it's hype things up, okay? All right, recon flight is in there as we speak. They did earlier find, at about 7:30 or so, they did find tropical storm force winds. Let's just kind of look at the data and see where they are right now. They found a 47-mile-per-hour wind gust earlier. Now they're looking to try and find a closed low. And they did not find one prior to having to issue the 8 a.m. intermediate update. Here's a look. I'm just kind of showing you. This is raw recon. This is not the stuff that you usually see on TV. But the purpose of this is to just kind of look around and see, yeah, they did not find that closed low earlier. So that's fine, but that's what they're looking for. So for the hurricane hunters, their whole idea at this point, do they find a closed low? If they do, then this becomes tropical storm right quick, right then. They have not found that closed low. So for right now, and I'm certainly not encouraging that they do find it, but for right now, it is not even a depression. It is not even a storm. This is a potential tropical system, okay? All right, let's talk about it. Let's look at it on the satellite imagery. Here it is, potential tropical system number 1. Winds are at 40. Now it's starting to move to the northeast at about 6 miles an hour, okay? It's not moving fast, but it's moving, and I think it's going to be accelerating. Here's a look at the full cone from the National Hurricane Center, and yes, we will be showing this in the bottom left box, the entire broadcast. You can see, though, Saturday, 2 a.m., approaching Florida, Saturday, 2 p.m., moving across Florida, and by Sunday 2 a.m., the National Hurricane Center says it's already going to be gone. It's going to be offshore and moving away. All right, let's take a closer inspection of that. same idea, right? 2 p.m., it's moving off the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast and clearing the area. That's great. I'm okay with that. Because the faster it moves through, the faster we get back to normal. This is not going to be a big hit. This is going to be some rain and at times some gusty winds. We get that all the time. Gabrielle is asking, should I stay in a hotel just in case of tornadoes? I mean, I would say 100% honestly that this is not going to be a tornado maker for us. At least it shouldn't, because we are not on the right front quadrant of the storm. We're actually on the drier side of the storm, believe it or not. If you look at the satellite imagery as it stands, okay? Let's just do a little data manipulation here, okay? This is the loop. If you look at the storm system as it is right now, the center of circulation right there, okay? If you were on a boat right next to the center of circulation, you'd see the sunshine. Did you know that? Isn't that crazy? There's a huge little piece of upper level winds that's just blowing all the moisture off to the east. So if you were in Cancun right now, the sun is shining. Meanwhile, there's a potential tropical system just miles away from you. That's the wind shear that's keeping it weak, but that's also going to be putting us in a drier side of the storm system. And that's why I want to make sure you know, don't cancel your weekend plans. We're going to have some rain, but we do every weekend, right? I think it's so interesting when storms are as lopsided as this one is, because you could be right at the center of circulation, or 10 miles, 20 miles, in this case, north and west, and the sun would be shining. You're like, if you didn't have a barometer, or your like bunions weren't burning, or whatever they do, whatever people's bodies do, you know, you'd have no clue, right? Our 3 o'clock storms are sometimes worse than these storms. Floridians got this. That's it. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. That upper level wind shear is doing its thing. Real fast before we move on, Kellyanne, let's just chat about this hit. I was going to do SATRAD, flood threat, Euro.
This is full weather.
Oh, full weather, standby. Counties in that headlines.
Okay.
Is that cool? Counties headlines. Hold on, people. Hold on, Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk people, say hello to Kellyanne, by the way.
Hi, everybody.
Do that. Okay, all right. Just got my TV hit set up. Okay. All right, let's see here. Haines City is never in your forecast. Maybe too far south, sitting in Central Florida. So Haines City is technically in the Tampa DMA. That's why. I apologize. We mention Winter Haven, not far from you, but we just do it because. Stacy, good morning to you. Marie, good morning. I wish it would rain in Daytona. Yeah, you and me both, right? All right, so let's take a look and see what Futurecast is showing. All right, in its infinite wisdom, it's showing by 3 o'clock, especially in our southern areas, rain's starting to approach. Notice through 5, 6, 7, about 50% of us are going to be getting rain. Again, if you live in our northern spots, you're probably going to be kind of wondering why we're talking about tropical stuff. Here's 8 o'clock. Notice, again, not too bad. That system's already moving out. Yeah, and then by Saturday, then into Sunday, we're just kind of clearing things out. So, yeah, kind of it's an interesting little scenario. Because I think we're going to be right on the cusp of areas that see activity and don't see activity. I think a lot of our areas probably not going to see much from this, right? Good morning from Lake Nona. Jen, good morning to you. Buenos dias. Good morning to you. Marcos, how are you? Kenneth, good morning to you. So that's where we're at, people. Tropical storm warnings are posted for South Florida, and they are posted for Polk, Osceola, and Brevard County, okay? Tropical storm warning simply means tropical storm conditions are expected over the next 36 hours. Okay? Could they name this by 11 a.m.? They could have named it at 2 a.m. They could have named it at 5 a.m. But what they have not found is a closed low. And until they do that, until they find that closed low, they're not going to name it. Let's see, I just got some new data from the recon. Let me plug that in. As soon as that renders out, I will. All right, it's 8:15. We got a couple of minutes. Just bear with me. I just want to see what that new data, if we have gotten a closed low or not. No closed low. Okay, they're looking over here. Okay, interesting. All right, so they found 1,002 millibars, Kellyanne. All right, so here's a look. Give me 2 seconds and I'll pop this up for you. Here's a look at the raw recon data, and I'll do my best to kind of illustrate it for you. What's the difference between a cyclone, typhoon, and a hurricane? Are they all the same thing? Essentially, I mean, essentially, yeah. All right, so that's where the recon flight is right now. What you're looking at are these arrows, and what you're looking for is an actual spin. So it found a little area of lower pressure there, 1,002 millibars. I wonder if the low is sitting right there, just based on kind of the turning of the winds. So my guess is that they're gonna go and zigzag pattern and go right in there. But that's my guess. But 1,002 millibars is a little bit lower of a pressure, which would mean that this storm system is potentially just a little bit stronger, okay? Let's see here, gotta find that low. Allison, you know it. Sabirs is asking, can this system still move a little more north than predicted? Well, certainly it can. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. But the models are really zeroing in on it. So the confidence level of the forecast overall is starting to go up. Okay? So that's good. Let's see here. Here's hoping Futurecast is right for Orlando tomorrow. It's the final Superstar Parade at Universal, and it kicks off at 2 p.m. Agreed. All right, so people, I'm going to have to go do some weather. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up programming for you. That's Kellyanne talking about the tropics. And you're just going to hear my microphone, not hers. But I'm going to go do this TV hit with her, and then I will be back, and we'll chat more coffee talk. Sound good, people? Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Do you like weak tropical systems or not? Discuss. You see that rain lifting up north on her Futurecast there? That's why our southern areas, we think, are going to be more impacted, because they'll be close enough to the storm system that even if it's weaker, even if it's stronger, those impacts would be felt. Now, I got called in, so I'm working today with Kellyanne. Kellyanne got called in and will be working with me tomorrow morning, so we'll have full team coverage for you all weekend long as is needed. And Nika Hope, by the way, is going to be in the First Warning Weather Lab tomorrow.
Thunderstorms then late tonight into tomorrow, and we'll be watching for rain, wind, and a severe weather potential, especially for our southern locations. And then by Sunday, the storm pulls away. What we're thinking is flooding is on that medium scale, especially down to the south. Coastal concerned, especially by Saturday into Sunday. That strong northeasterly wind could bring some swells. That's what we'll be watching. Tropical storm force wind gusts, not too impressive. There is a low threat for tornadoes as well. So this is just the general overview. We have to get over to meteorologist Eric Burris to talk county by county what we can expect.
And you were showing it on Futurecast just a couple of moments ago, right? So let's take you down into Brevard and Osceola counties. These are our two counties that are under tropical storm warnings. We think out of everybody, you're going to be the ones that get the worst of the weather, the most inclement weather. This is not a hurricane, though. This is not even a tropical storm, and your gusts will get into tropical storm strength. So 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts in the heavier kind of feeder band downpours that move through. Rainfall running about 1, 2, 3, 4 inches or so, but certainly down into the Treasure Coast and the Palm Beaches. That's where the worse weather will be. Let's head into the metro. Orange, Seminole, Lake, even Sumter counties. Gusts lower, 20 to 30. Again, think of this as rain with a name. It's just going to be a little bit different type of scenario versus our afternoon thunderstorms. About a ½ to an inch of rain through the metro. In our northern spots, frankly, it looks like you'll get some dry air moving in. A nice breeze for you, but less than an inch of rainfall. So we're watching wind shear. Wind shear is what has kept the storm system weak, which is why it is not yet named Tropical Storm Alex. We'll have to see how that plays out today. We're also watching to see its exact path. Where does it actually make landfall? Because we're right on the line between flooding rains and not much rainfall. So that's really going to play into our forecast. But as I said before, this is rain with a name. We get thunderstorms every day during the summer. This is just going to be tropical-based rains. And look at that, the shield of tropical rain already down in South Florida. So Futurecast showed it. We'll be watching the rain chances rising through the afternoon into the evening. We're building to about a 50% coverage of rain, and then it's just basically our southern spots that are getting those steady rains. All right, Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast. 50% coverage of rain today, but overnight tonight into tomorrow, as that storm system moves in, we'll be watching more rains moving in, and then eventually back to normal late this weekend and early next week. Jacqueline, good morning.
And to stay on top of the changing system, we also want to let you know that West 2 News at noon will be airing today, right here on CWT. And now let's get Jacqueline from
All right. Okay, so we've got a Today Show cut-in, and then we'll be back. All right, let me put up, while we're chatting, I do want to share our planner for today because I don't want our local forecast to get lost in this. All right, I think that we're good for now. My wife was asking, can our son go outside and play today? And it's like, absolutely, the day's going to be fine. We're just going to be watching those rain chances rising later on into tonight, all right? Let's see here. I love weak tropical systems with beneficial rain. Just wish it would reach Seminole County. Well, and that's the thing. Susie says she likes your dress, Kellyanne.
Oh, thank you.
She says thank you. Carol, I love weak tropical systems, yeah. So Hubby probably should not try to play golf tomorrow morning. I would say don't cancel plans. Seriously, because there's, unless you live like south, right? It's going to pass quickly, so that's a good thing. Oh, I agree, that's a good thing. Lots of extra Coffee Talk viewers again this morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. Yeah, welcome to all of you that are not used to this sort of thing. We do this 7 days a week. 365 days a year. Of course, during the tropics, things play out a little bit more. All right, let's take a look at the computer models and just kind of compare a little bit, shall we? So here's 9:30, this is tonight into tomorrow, both the European and the GFS models kind of taking this storm system toward Florida. But notice the European is a little slower than the GFS. Hurricane Center is kind of leaning a little more on the GFS, at least in terms of kind of when it's moving through. By by lunchtime tomorrow, notice the European is still off the shoreline, whereas the GFS is already kind of right at the East Coast. And then through Saturday afternoon, we're kind of watching the storm system moving away. So I actually think that the GFS is doing better in terms of timing, but I'm leaning on the European in terms of rainfall, just because the European is kind of giving us worst case scenario. But you can see the Euro, even in its higher rain numbers, 2 to 3 inches, it has really backed off. That's good, right? Again, the less impacts we can get, the better. I would certainly take that. I would certainly take that any day of the week. So I know Coffee Talk is a little short today. I can tell you that I will do another update later on today, but just with the chaos of tracking the tropics, gonna have to take a little bit of a break a little early, all right? All right, so if there's one thing that you listen, just one, this is not going to be a big deal. It's gonna be rain. It's gonna be rain, maybe some gusty winds, but we get that every afternoon during the summertime, okay? Seriously, don't freak out, and I wouldn't go canceling plans. It's just gonna be some rainfall. It's not going to be a washout. Now, if you were in South Florida, that's a different story, okay? All right? All right. Updates throughout the day. Be good, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. Sorry it's a little weird today doing the tropics coverage. Bye, y'all.